Hey, welcome back to the show where we're going over 6 reasons why your confidence could be low. So expect to learn some awareness around why this could be happening, as well as some actionable tips to move you to a place where you can hopefully find it once again. So I've always said that my work is pretty simple, but not so easy in some respect. And I base it off a very easy equation, which is all I want to do in my clients, whether they're athletes, corporates, or students, is to reduce anxiety and increase confidence. Because if we're high in anxiety, there's going to be a high chance that we're low in confidence. So the majority of these 6 reasons are going to be about something that's probably inducing anxiety within you, and we'll get onto them. But I do want to recognize that this is a huge topic and one that is probably an ongoing topic in all of our lives. Confidence is fluctuating, whether it's in something new that we're doing and we're trying out something that we've never done before, we're going to be low in confidence. And then there's going to be other moments when we're high in confidence. But if we're living our daily lives in this perpetual cycle of low confidence, then it's going to have a bigger, broader, ongoing impact on not only our day-to-day life, but our general personality as well. We're going to start to be seen as someone who's maybe not as confident as we really believe we are. And it's going to just constantly negatively impact our decisions, the way we're viewed in the world, and ultimately how we view ourselves. But I do want to recognize that confidence, while it's an ongoing process, if you're feeling low in your confidence, just be okay with knowing that your confidence hasn't gone anywhere. It's not disappeared. It's just buried. It's just hidden behind a story that you're perhaps telling yourself about yourself. Or perhaps you're focusing on something that isn't serving you in a positive way. So it's not like your confidence has just dropped off a cliff and gone somewhere. It is there. It's just about finding it and remembering and reminding yourself about it. And if anything, this whole podcast, these 6 reasons, is about bringing your awareness to some possibilities of what you might be doing that's giving you this feeling of low confidence, so that you can be aware of it. And then once we're aware of something, we can actually do something about it. So that is the main goal of this episode, is to just bring your awareness to these 6 reasons. There could be a multitude of reasons, but if I'm really thinking about the people that I interact with, these are some very common reasons as to why people might have low self-confidence. And I'm sure there'll be one that you'll resonate with. So just be aware that your confidence hasn't gone anywhere. It is just hiding from you. It's clouded. The idea here is we're going to clear some of that cloud so that you can start to move towards those moments of confidence, because you will find moments in your day that you are confident. You will find moments that without you realizing you have done something confidently. You've just not been acknowledging it. You have been sitting in a perpetual cycle of negative self-talk that is clouding that confidence. And we're going to bring some awareness to it. So first reason why you will not be feeling as confident as you hope to be will be because you're focusing on things that you can't control. Like I mentioned about this equation of high anxiety and low confidence, the feeling of anxiety we get is when we're trying to control something that we can't control, but wanting to control it. So whether it's a performance that you've done, something that's been and gone, whether it's something you did in the past, maybe a fear of something happening in the future, it could be an opinion of someone, a coach that said something about you. Ultimately, what has happened has happened. And you trying to control it is only going to turn you over in this cycle of non-acceptance, and you're just going to suffer. So the simple equation that I get any client or any one that I'm talking about this subject about trying to control something you can't control, is ask yourself in the moment, what is it that I'm thinking about? What is it that's causing me this stress, this anxiety? And ultimately, can I control it? If the answer is yes, great, take action and work towards that. And that's how I work with people on being able to take the action that they need to reduce that anxiety. But if the answer is no, I cannot control it, then we're going to have to accept it. We're going to have to start to flex that acceptance muscle, which is going to bring about our ability to move on from it and go towards what we can control. Now, in the Mind Strong course, we have the controllables versus uncontrollables exercise. And this is probably one of the most powerful exercises in the course because it allows people to have the awareness of everything in their life that they possibly can control and they possibly can't control. And just by simply writing that down, you're able to recognize what it is. And especially when you start to think of it, if it drops into your mind at any moment, something that you can't control, you can almost see it on that list within your mind. And then you know you've got the list of everything that you can control, which reduces your anxiety and increases your confidence. Because once we're in control of something, we feel in control, we're going to feel confident. Think about simply driving a car. When you are fully in control of that car, you feel confident. But in the moment when you aren't in control of it, you don't feel confident. So think of yourself, your mind, your environment, everything around you. If there's something that you're trying to control but you can't control it, there's a chance it's going to cause anxiety and a low confidence and a low self-belief. So it's very simple, but it's not easy to do. And it is to be aware of everything that is in your control and not in your control. And like I said, on the Mind Strong course, that exercise is probably one of the most powerful ones for people that have gone through it because it's just about bringing awareness to it. It's just about recognizing what is it that I'm trying to control but can't control. So focusing what you can't control, big one first up. Number 2 is dwelling on negative past experiences, something that's happened over and over again. It's pretty linked to trying to control something you can't control. But when you only see the negative experiences, there's a chance that you'll start to shift from a world of optimism to pessimism. Every event that you go into, you're going to feel like, okay, well, this is Groundhog Day. I'm going to have another negative experience. And you're already going into it with a feeling of low confidence. And it's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy from them. Once you start to believe something negative is going to happen, chances are that it's going to happen. So when you're dwelling on this feeling of fear, anxiety, which can be helpful in some instances, there is reason to go into something and look out for something that could possibly go wrong. Because if you only think everything's going to go right, then when something does undoubtedly go wrong, you're not ready for it. You're not prepared. So there is a blend here. There is a blend to be had where you do want to have a level of recognizing something that could negatively happen, but just being prepared for it and almost thinking, what am I going to do with this moment? What if this negative experience is to happen again? What do I want to do, say, or think in order to be proud of myself for handling it? Doesn't guarantee success. Doesn't guarantee that everything's going to turn out the way you want it to turn out. But there are chances are that if you've started to think about how you would handle it, you'll start to feel more confident, you'll feel prepared, you feel ready to go into a situation, even if you are starting to think that there could be a negative outcome. So just dwelling on those negative experiences and only seeing the negative within them, that is going to create this pessimistic view that every experience you may go into next is going to have some form of negative outcome. Oh, it always happens like this. And especially if you're English, I think we're just really hardwired to this. We're really hardwired to the idea of the weather being bad and just things not going our way. So try to shift towards this lens of optimism. Optimists live longer. There's studies to show that optimists just live longer and we just enjoy life better. So try to find that feeling of, do I see the glass half full or half empty? Or can I just be grateful for having a glass in the first place? And that will change your outlook on the experiences you're going through. It doesn't mean that negative things won't happen to you, but you'll start to be able to be prepared for if they are to happen and what you might do when they do happen. So don't dwell on those negative experiences. That's number 2. Number 3, not living up to your expectations. Now, again, if you've follow my work, then you'll know perfectionism is a huge part of what I talk about. It's something that I have a huge interest in and study in. And this is where we're starting to set really high expectations of ourselves. We're setting expectations that perhaps we should always succeed. We should always be doing well. Every match that I play should be one of my best matches. Every effort that I put in should be my best effort. And if I fall short, then I'm a complete failure. There's many different things that this causes. One could be the fear of failure. So you procrastinate over what decisions to make. Maybe you even doubt the decisions that you're about to take and you don't take them in the first place. But what we're doing to ourselves is by setting ourselves up with these really high expectations, when they're not met, we just see ourselves as a failure. We just see ourselves as not being worth anything. And that is ultimately hitting not only our self-confidence, but our self-worth, our self-esteem. And what we think of ourselves and how we view ourselves in the scope of our communities, our teams, just us as an individual. And the outcome for this, or the goal for overcoming this and not living up to these high expectations, is to, without it sounding too bad, is to lower your expectations. Now, what this means is not lowering your expectations that you don't have any whatsoever, but lower them so that they're realistic and achievable. And by doing that, you're just aiming up. You're aiming up at the most simplest thing that you can do. And if there is an expectation that you can have, there are two things that you can really control in your life, and that's what you think of yourself and what you expect of yourself. Now, your expectations of yourself are how you go about doing what you do, your mindset, your effort, the work that you're putting in, the process that you're trying to work towards, everything that is in your control. That's what you can expect of yourself. Outside of that, you can't control it. You can't control other people's expectations of you. You can't control the expectations that society is trying to put on you. Some of the best athletes in the world that go into press conferences, when asked, how do you deal with the expectations? They will sit back and say, well, these are your expectations of me, not expectations of myself. The expectations I have for myself are just going to the next match and doing my best and working towards my process. It doesn't guarantee that my success is going to come, but just by doing that, I can expect to put in the effort, to have the right mindset, to be positive, to be optimistic. And outside that, I can't control much, so why dwell on it? But if we set these unrealistic expectations of ourselves that every day I need to achieve an outcome, which isn't necessarily guaranteed, I need to be the best, I need to constantly be PBing, or every time I need. When we don't do that, which undoubtedly is going to happen because you're never going to be at your best every day, you're going to impact your self-worth massively. You're going to feel less about yourself. One of the best things that ever happened to me in my career was John Lewis, who was a guest on this podcast. I forget which episode number he was on, but he said to me, because he was not only a teammate, but he was a coach at one moment. And I think I tell this story in the episode. Was he sat down with us as a bowling group, and he himself had a 20-year career in professional cricket. And he had said, guys, how many 5-wicket hauls do you think I've got in my professional career? And I think John's got 600 to 700 first-class wickets. And we were like, oh, John, you've probably got something like 80 to 90. And that you're just a legend, mate. And he said, well, actually, I've got 35 fifers out of, well, it was basically 7% of the games that he had played, he got 5-wicket haul. So a 5-wicket haul, you would class that as your day, a day when you've achieved good things. And it would happen 5 to 7% of the time. So his point was, your day when it's you at your best potentially will only ever happen 5 to 7, maybe 10% of the time if you're lucky. This is just as a bowler in cricket. This is just an example. So what are you doing for the other 90 to 95% of your days? It's all about just doing enough. It's about being able to support the team. It's about being able to put in a good enough performance that just gets you to the next game. Because when it is your day, you take full advantage of it and you go for it. Now that lowered our expectations. That actually sent us into a state of being relieved that every game you go out there, you don't have to try and achieve the best every game. It's about just doing enough to get to the next game. And when it is your day, you take full advantage of it. That's when you can just go in, dominate, be in flow. And those are great days. It's kind of like the saying from Michael Jordan, I no longer have good or bad days. I just have good or great days. That really is about it. That is what you're trying to stem to. And that comes from lowering your expectations of what really will happen. And that is that not every game, not every performance, not every moment is going to be its best. I always think of Michael Phelps. If every time Michael Phelps did his best when he was swimming and every day was a PB, every swim he'd have would be a world record. That is not realistic. So why put that sort of expectation on yourself and that pressure on yourself? Just constantly be doing enough to be good and then be working towards being great in the moments that allow you to do that. It's about those work sprints rather than it being a constant sprint. So look for lowering those expectations and aim up. Number 4, fearing other people's opinions, or FOPO. Very common that people will feel this sense of low confidence because they're fearing what other people will think of them. They're worrying about what others will say or want them to do. if I do this thing that I'm trying to achieve, if it doesn't look right, what are people going to say about me, how I look? There's so much of this that is linked to perfectionism. But what really matters most is what we think of ourselves. Again, we cannot control what other people think of us. We can only control what we think of ourselves and what we expect of ourselves. So if you are fearing what other people think of you, just go back to that thinking of what is in my control. What is it that I want to do with myself right now? What is it that I want to say, do, or think that is going to make me feel proud about myself? At the end of it, there's no success guaranteed. There's no guarantee that just by going out there and putting yourself out there that you're going to get success, but you are worthy enough to go after that success. You are worthy enough to have a crack at it. Just remember that. We're all equal to sit there and have a go at our goals and our dreams and our ambitions. It doesn't mean that we're all going to achieve them, but we do have the worth to have a crack at it. And that is something that is worthwhile remembering. Outside of that, other people's opinions on what they think about you, what they're telling you, or what they expect of you, you can't control. So yes, there will be this fear of what other people think because it is louder than it's ever been. But ultimately, it's not something you can control. And that trying to control something that you can't control, but want to control it, will only increase your anxiety and reduce your confidence. So try to move away from the fear of other people's opinions. Number 5, linked to it, is comparing yourself to others. Something I used to do a lot when I was growing up was comparing myself to people who I wanted to be like or wanted to emulate. And what I did for probably too long, and the reason I mentioned this one was because there was a moment when I switched. I switched from trying to compare myself to other people and felt really bad about my skill not being as good as others. And I changed to being inspired by them, how they did what they did, and then tried to do it my own way. Because that's really what my goal was to try and be unique. I wanted to take inspiration from them, their success, how they did it, and then do it my own way. And then, funny enough, through that authenticity, I felt more confident about myself. I felt that I was doing things really in alignment with how I wanted to do them. But when we focus so much on other people and just compare ourselves to where they are today and not where we were yesterday, and seeing our own progression, our improvement, we just compare and we judge ourselves based on someone else's journey, which again is not in your control. It's not your journey. It's completely unique to them, and your journey is unique to you. If everyone had the same journey, and if you could do everything, if you could get all your dreams and ambitions like the people that you're perhaps comparing yourself to, if two of you had the same journey, it would be so boring because there's no nuance within it. There's no idiosyncratic moments. There's nothing that's unique about it. So just love your own journey. Love everything that's going on with your own unique journey, and don't compare it to anyone else's. Be inspired by role models and other people, but don't compare yourself to it because it's your journey. It's your unique way of doing things. Find your own way and go after it 100%. And this is going to move us on to the last reason why your confidence might be low. And that is because you maybe don't have positive role models in your life. Isn't necessarily going to be your parents that are going to be the role models that you maybe hoped for. One thing that I did in my life was I looked for role models through people, not in my sport, but in the world around me, that I saw myself as an underdog. So I sought out after underdogs. My parents weren't really sporty, so I didn't have a base to judge myself on with them. I didn't have a story that they'd done in sport that I could be inspired by. So I looked for other role models in sport that I could really use that would help me feel confident, feel like if someone else has done it, then I can do it too. There are these 4 areas which we can find our self-belief. Albert Bandura, a famous psychologist, found these 4 areas that we can stem self-efficacy or self-belief from, which you can ultimately call self-confidence. The first being past experiences. If I've done it before, I can do it again. The other being vicarious experience. If I can see someone like a role model or someone similar to me do it, then I believe I can do it as well. And the other 2 being verbal persuasion or feedback, and your emotional and physiological interpretation of events. But that vicarious experience is through role models, is essentially role modeling. It's about finding someone that you're inspired by, someone that you resonate with, and then looking at how they go about doing what they're doing. And then you don't necessarily copy, you just get inspired. But having people around you that inspire you is going to increase your confidence and let you know that you can actually achieve something, especially if they've done it as well. So it's really important that if it's your social media, if it's the people in your environment, do you have enough people around you that are inspiring you? Do you have enough people that you feel are giving you confidence, whether it's the coaches around you, whether it's seeking out a mentor that you really want? If you don't feel your coaches are helping you and building up that confidence around you, seek out other people outside. There's nothing stopping you from going outside of your organization, your community, your team, and finding someone to help you bring that confidence. There will be people that will help build that confidence within you. And if there's anything else I could say, is seek out those people that you want to be like, whether it's their journey, whether it's just being around more inspirational thoughts and ideas. One thing I do is I listen to a lot of motivational videos. I did it a lot as a kid, and I just consistently surrounded myself with positive stories. And that gave me this sense of confidence because I almost was like living it out myself. I was almost doing it for myself. And that brought confidence. It was about creating this character that felt confidence. So find those people that you want to be like, look at what they do, look at how they do it, and then do your own version of that. So that's everything. Those are the 6 main reasons that I had. There's definitely more. There's definitely more reasons and deeper reasons as to why you may not be feeling as confident, but I'm sure there's something there that you may recognize and resonate with, and hopefully some ways in which you can overcome it. As I mentioned before, the MindStrong course is a great place to get started, especially with the first chapter being on confidence mindset. The goal is that we help people, and my work is all about making sure that the first step is being confident in who you are as a human being first, and then moving on to resilience, perspective, and the game plan. So just simply for the price of a coffee per week, you can grab a hold of the MindStrong Academy, and you can then also maybe even dive into the MindStrong course as an extra add-on. For everyone who buys the MindStrong course, you get the MindStrong Academy free for life. So you can either start off by working in the MindStrong Academy and then maybe upgrade yourself to the course, or just dive straight into the course. And it's the foundation of the Academy and all of the work that I'm doing. It's just simply the same process that I take any athlete client, whether it's a business client or even a student. It's the same process that I take them through, but it's now available online for you to get in your pocket with you wherever you want. If you do have anything that you're perhaps struggling with, whether it's confidence, anxiety, resilience, perspective, perfectionism, or maybe another topic that you have a current challenge on, do reach out. Go find me on Instagram at Lewis Hatchett. Send me a DM. I love speaking to people and helping them out through their journey. So don't feel afraid to do that. Just go out there, send me a message, or just send an email in. Head over to lewishatchett.com and hit the contact there. Just lewis@lewishatchett.com to send in an email. But as always, thank you so much for listening. Do remember to follow, subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you're listening to. It is just simply the easiest way to support what we're doing here and to help us grow so that we can get better guests, more topics, and this podcast will continually grow. So thank you so much for your support, and I'll see you guys next time. Take it easy.